Hello my friends, I'm Chrissy. You found my YouTube channel, Chrissy Love, where I usually review fragrance. I have a huge perfume collection. I love collecting perfumes, talking about them, reviewing them. It's a fantastic hobby for me that actually came out of COVID, of course, like for many of us. And so that's what I do on this channel usually. But I posted a video recently and said, hey guys, just so you know, I went on this big life-changing road trip while you were watching my videos. I pre-scheduled them out so that my 2 times a week schedule will remain consistent. But I went on this big road trip to figure out where I wanted to move to. I currently live in Vermont, and it is currently cold, and I'm feeling that I need to make a fresh start for many personal reasons, but also because I want to be where it's warmer. I want to be by the ocean. The lake here is gorgeous, but I would like some ocean life for a while. And so I drove down the East Coast to figure out where I wanted to move to. I was originally thinking Charleston, and I came upon some other options along the way, as well as many adventures. It was a whole month on the road, totally by myself. So I mentioned this and said, does anyone want to hear about the trip or like get tips for traveling on a month-long road trip? It's kind of a big deal. It's definitely a big deal for my life, probably one of the most important things I've done in my life. And so they said, yeah, I do want to hear about it. So if you are someone who wants to hear about it, please stay tuned. If you really are just here for the perfume content, that more videos are posting shortly, so those are going to definitely come back. My content is not shifting to like road trip tips. This is just more like a life update if you're curious, or if you're planning a road trip for yourself. Maybe you can get some tips from here, or you can give me some for my next trip. So today I am going to be talking about my road trip in the format of giving tips and feedback and lessons learned, so hopefully you can have a really successful trip as well and kind of get in my head a little bit about them. So without further ado, let's jump right in. So the first thing I want to talk about was packing. I decided early on that even though it was a whole month long, I'm not doing laundry. I knew I didn't want to be sitting in a laundromat, spending hours at a laundromat, dealing with that. I knew I wanted to be on the road, having adventures. So I made sure I packed to sustain myself with clean clothing for a whole month. And that sounds crazy, but really it's just about being organized and realistic. So one huge tip I have is I had a large suitcase that I brought with me into every hotel. You know, I ended up staying at multiple hotels, probably about 15 different hotels throughout the whole trip for different, you know, amounts of time in each. And so what I did was I had my big suitcase with all the essentials in it, and I also had an extra small weekender bag where I put like dirty laundry, and I also put my extra clothes. So every few stops, I would actually change out my clothes for new ones, for fresh, clean ones, so that for every hotel, I was not dragging in all of my clothes. The majority of my clothes stayed in the car, and then I would just rotate them out into the main bag that I brought into the hotel. So I hope that makes sense, but that was like my number 1 tip that allowed me to not have to do laundry, but not be carrying around all my clothes everywhere. Huge, huge tip, big help. The other thing I did was I really made sure to organize things based on how I would need them. Because, you know, when you're at home, all of your stuff is like put in the cabinet where it needs to be. It's organized in your drawers the way it needs to be. On the road, you're really bringing stuff in and out of your suitcase often. So I wanted that process to be as easy and simple as possible. So the number 1 way I organized things was using bags. I also had some Shein bags which were larger. So like, for example, I would have a bag of underwear, a bag of bras, a bag of toiletries. And when it came to toiletries, I really got organized. I use a lot of toiletries. It turns out I use 13 different items or products every night. 13. But it's worth it. So this, for example, was my PM toiletry bag. You can see PM. This is the actual bag I used. I know, not very glamorous, but you know what? It gets the job done. So in here, I had all of the items I use at night. This was my perfume bag. So I had all my little perfume samples. Of course, I didn't bring full-size bottles with me. I brought little small sizes I wanted to use up. And I also had an AM toiletry bag, and of course my clothing bags. So that meant that instead of having to like pull out all my toiletries every day when I got to the new hotel and organize them, they were already organized, ready for me to go. It also meant packing was super easy because it was like, okay, these toiletries go in this bag and they go into the suitcase and done. So that kept me incredibly organized organized. I did not waste time and mental energy reorganizing myself at every new hotel. So that is a huge tip as well. Another thing I did, because I'm trying on a minimalist lifestyle slowly. I'm not saying I'm there yet, but this trip had the benefit of helping me figure out how lean can I be? What stuff do I really need to be happy? And so I only brought one set of jewelry. I brought one necklace and one pair of earrings, and I wore those the whole time. And it was a test. I was trying to see, am I gonna get bored, or maybe do I just have too much jewelry that I don't really wear? Maybe one set is enough. So I had just like my really, it wasn't this necklace, but it was like a very minimal, like little round gold disc necklace. And I had some studs that were like little round gold disc studs. And it turns out that's really all I needed. It matched every single outfit. It was super basic, but classy in my opinion. I liked the way it looked. And so that worked for me. So like not bringing around a whole bunch of jewelry, also not bringing around a whole bunch of makeup. I just really pared down to like the routine that I use every morning, which I have over time, even before the trip, gotten down to. I really have a specific routine I just duplicate every morning. It takes like 5 minutes and I love it and I love the look and it's perfect for me. I also only brought the very bare minimum of makeup I needed. I don't really need to have on different looks every day, especially for a road trip. Really, who cares? No one even sees you more than once. So that worked out really well for me as well. Next, I want to talk about driving, because when I drive long distances, it turns out my max is 6 hours in a one go, even with stops and stuff. When I drive for a long time, my shoulders get really heavy and start to hurt. And then I try to like hold my arms so that they're kind of loose underneath the steering wheel. But even so, my body gets all cramped. I think that's pretty normal. That's one thing I had to really pay attention to, was keeping my shoulders really slack while I was driving, which allowed me to drive for longer without the pain. The other thing I did was I had driving sneakers I kept in the car, because when my heels at least are driving and they're like against the mat, they start to wear away at the backs of my shoes. So I did not wear my nice shoes. I just wore the sneakers and changed in and out of them when I got in and out of the car. And I had one pair of boots I really loved, and like I think it was one pair of sandals that I really loved. So again, I went very minimal, just really the basics, figured out what I really needed to get by and what matched the outfits really well. So yeah, that was a really big tip for me, is wearing driving sneakers. It's a lot more comfortable and it saves the quality of your other shoes. Now I want to talk about planning, things that I thought about. I'm very type A, so I really like to think through everything before I do it, and definitely planning for a road trip is something that is worth your mental energy to do. I wanted to have as few variables as possible, because there's always something you cannot predict. So I wanted to be as prepared as possible and know that I had taken care of all the variables I at least could think of. So one thing I did was, since I was staying at hotels the whole time, I opened and this is not like sponsored or anything, I opened a Hilton Honors American Express card, because I Googled it and tried to figure out which reward programs for hotels were the best, that would give me the most points and, you know, give me usable points. And it turned out that Marriott, I think it's Envoy, and the Hilton Honors were the best, and I kind of preferred the Hilton hotels. Both have a plethora of options for hotels all over the country, which was also a big part of it. So I got a Hilton Honors credit card, and I booked all of my hotels through the Hilton website and made sure to have a Hilton Honors reward program login too. So just having the credit card is enough. You have to have the reward program set up too, and then you link them, just FYI. And that way I got a ton of points. You get like 12 times the points or something crazy like that, in addition to bonuses if you book Hilton hotels with the Hilton card. So that was huge. I also used the card the whole trip. One, for security, because I knew that I was not using my debit card and thus not exposing it to possibly fraud. And I also was able to track all my expenses as they pertain to the trip specifically, so I could like really see at the end of the day what I was spending on the trip. I also definitely did budget, of course. I took into account like the mileage, the hotel costs for each city, because they kind of differed by the city, how much I might spend on activities in each city, what I was planning to do there. And I also budgeted for extras. So I was really generous on budgeting for unpredictables like car breaking down and stuff like that. My other tip around hotels is I only booked hotels with free breakfast, which seems like a nominal detail, but it means I pretty much never paid for breakfast food or coffee, though hotels offer coffee throughout the day as well, at least the Hiltons did. And I also got to grab snacks for later for the road. So it saved me a lot on my food budget to choose hotels that offered breakfast. Now you could argue that, well, because they offered breakfast, they were more expensive hotels. But I really wanted hotels that made me feel safe, that made me feel clean, that made me feel comfortable. So I particularly chose nicer-ish Hilton hotels anyway, and they all happened to have breakfast. Another thing about hotels is etiquette that you may or may not be aware of already. But one thing that's really important is leaving a tip. All the hotels I stayed at did not do cleaning service unless you asked for it while I was there, which I did not ask them to do. It didn't seem important to have someone, you know, make my bed for me. I could do that. So I left on average about like $5 when I left. You know, it's not a lot of money, but it makes, I think, a difference to leave it to people who are working really hard during hard times. And of course, I didn't leave a mess. I made sure to throw away all my trash. So I didn't have to like go around throwing out my trash. I put all the towels in the corner of the bathroom so it was easy for them. Whatever I could do to make things easier for the person cleaning up after me, I just feel like that's common courtesy. It's just the right thing to do, especially during these times. Also at the Hiltons, they offered water and snacks whenever I checked in, and I always said yes. And I never bought a bottle of water my whole trip. For like 30 days, I had this like whole mass of bottles just like available to me. So now if you like to, you know, refill your own portable bottle, I appreciate that. Being environmentally friendly, that's great. It wasn't my focus on this trip. I'm gonna be totally honest with you. It was not my focus on this trip. So I did say yes to the bottle of water. You never know what local water really tastes like, and sometimes it doesn't taste good. So it's definitely worth doing. Also being quiet at night, it's just an etiquette thing, you know, not having the TV on loud after like 9 or 10. They usually have specific quiet hours they designate. That's important because I was the recipient of loud neighbors, and so I know people appreciate it when you kind of keep the noise down when you're in hotel rooms. But that being said, I did play my TV almost continuously, if not on a low volume. I watched TV, of course, because it was fun. I don't have cable at home. But I also didn't feel as alone when I had the TV playing. It made me feel more secure. Like, are you ever like alone in your house and you hear every low creak, like the dishwasher's going, and it kind of freaks you out because you think like someone's trying to get in the door? That's just me. But it made me feel more secure to have some background noise going. Just a little tip from me. I also made my bed daily. So even when I was, you know, if I was staying for one night, obviously it didn't matter. But if I was staying for multiple nights in the same hotel, I always made my bed, and it just made me feel like fresh and comfortable. And like when I came back, I wasn't coming back to like a messed up room. So that's me. That's just my type A personality speaking there. The other thing I did that helped out my friends and family a lot was I created a private Facebook group. And I invited just my close friends and family, did not let anyone else in. I really didn't want most people knowing I was traveling, and this might just be me again, but I don't like the idea of people knowing exactly where I am all the time. I'm not super public with my personal life, and I didn't want someone to be able to like track me down or find me or follow me. You know, it just gave me more peace of mind. But I did want my friends and family to know where I was and that I was doing well. And so I created this private Facebook group where I posted updates, like when I was safe and in the hotel for the night, so that my mom wouldn't call me every night mostly. And it did serve that purpose really well. I also posted little vlog updates that I filmed, which I'm of course going to use for my own reference. It's kind of like a little vlog diary I did. I'll probably put them together into a little video just for myself in the future, so I can review and revisit my experience. But just, you know, saying this place is really cool, look at what I did today, or, you know, a little synopsis, or this beach is great. Like I filmed one video when I discovered which place I really wanted to move to, and people just keep referring to it. Like I could tell in your face in that video that you were home, and like it was so beautiful to see. Like just being able to share those moments with people was really huge, and I felt like having this private Facebook group was a way to honor that and keep them posted and keep them engaged with me, and also to have this diary I can always look back on in the future. But again, I did not share it widely. It was very private in a very small group of people. I didn't even I posted to TikTok and Instagram while I was there with like, you know, sent to the day videos, but I never said really specifically where I was in those videos. Again, just to feel secure. So those are my general tips, things that went through my head leading up to the trip. If you want now, I'll give you a little more background on the trip itself, and feel free to skip ahead if that's not of interest to you. But if you want to know, I was considering moving to Charleston, South Carolina, but I wanted to consider some other areas on the way. So my trip took me down the east coast of the country. So I stopped, you know, some like places just overnight, but I stayed a couple nights in like Virginia Beach. I stayed in Wilmington, North Carolina. I stayed in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, Charleston, South Carolina. I stopped in at Savannah, Georgia, and then went back up through Tennessee, where I did Dollywood. I went to Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, and I also stopped in Kentucky for a week because my dad lives there. And so I had Thanksgiving with my dad in Kentucky, and then continued back home through New York to Vermont. So it was a really well-rounded trip. I got to see some really cool stuff, and I was really considering Wilmington, Myrtle Beach, Charleston, and Savannah to live in, and I chose Wilmington. And the reason why I chose Wilmington was it was the least touristy of all the places I saw, which is, it turns out, huge for me. I needed to be in a place where I could build community, and there wasn't going to be a lot of transients, like people kind of coming and going. So Wilmington is less picturesque than the more tourist leaning places, but it has, I feel, more opportunity for meeting other business owners like myself and making real connections that are lasting, making friendships that are lasting. It also has 3 incredibly beautiful beaches. My favorite is probably Wrightsville Beach because it's just right across a bridge from downtown Wilmington, but there are 2 others, and it was flawless. There was not even a shell on the beach. They must clean it because it was just a beautiful beach. The weather is gorgeous. You know, today I'm filming this at the end of December, and it's 65 degrees in Wilmington right now. I'm so jealous. I can't wait to be there. So the weather is really temperate, and they apparently don't get snow. Also, I found people to be very approachable and friendly there. So I just struck up conversations with multiple strangers. They were so happy to talk to me for like an hour, no problem, and told me all about the area, how I'd be so welcomed there, how being a business owner would be great for me there. When I was in Charleston, for example, I did not experience that. People were not that friendly with me. I went out to social places. I went to concerts and restaurants and stuff. Everyone really just like averted their eyes. I'm not like a crazy person either. I'm just a girl hanging out. And people really didn't talk to me. They were very cliquey in their own friend groups. And so that was my impression. I'm sure once you get anywhere, you can make friends. But I just felt like I was being more dismissed in Charleston, whereas in Wilmington, people were just really opening up to me. And also a tip, because I'm planning on moving, I met with realtors in each of these areas, and they gave me tours and really showed me the area. That was huge. And I found realtors didn't care if I was like committed to moving there or not. They were happy just to talk to me. So that is a huge tip if you're planning to move somewhere. Definitely go meet with a realtor or realtors to get a insider's look. So if you have any questions about going on your own road trip or about Wilmington or anything like that, or if you just want to hear more about my journey as I moved to Wilmington, I should be moving there in the next month or 2. So if you want more information, I'm happy to email you privately if you want to have a conversation, or if you want to hear more videos about this, just let me know. I don't want to dilute my perfume content. I for sure am very committed to that. I still love it, and I'm taking my perfumes with me. So I might do a video about packing perfumes or which ones I'm bringing with me. That could be kind of fun. Maybe you want to know an update on my collection. So let me know what you'd be interested in seeing from me. And I hope that you are planning a big adventure for yourself. It's well worth it. It's a lot of fun, and there's definitely safe ways to do it. Hope you have a very beautiful day, guys. Thanks for being here.